Absolutely Average, taking you to court. Hello, I'm Jess, and I'm reading the script for Truth Central. Absolutely Average has a YouTube channel with 4,500 subscribers. He does also have another YouTube channel called Bexhill Biker. And the guy behind Absolutely Average is called Russell Green. Russell Green began a friendship with Trevor Cole MC that deteriorated. He also attempted a friendship with Avid Gardner and Graham the Baron, which never developed and came to an abrupt halt when Green felt they were siding with Trevor. He began a campaign of abuse on X and was part of a group of trolls. Here you can see the trolls: Atalanta of Arcadia, Absolutely Average, Paz49, who's also a YouTuber, and then a bunch of other guys. Happy Hopper is obviously Ems from TNT. And Screwed Crime used to have Screwed Politics and Not a Twirly on YouTube. And then we have the victims there. Trevor, Yankee Wally, Avid Gardner, Graham, their children, the Fitness Hutch and his wife, Gerty Rood and her neighbour, who they claimed as her daughter, Glenda the Good, and Duchess of North Sussex. Every time the Heskeths defended themselves, Green accused them of slander or stalking. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender, the Darvo technique. He repeatedly threatened Trevor and the Heskeths with legal action. Green went so far as to accuse Graham of faking his cancer diagnosis. And here is a post that Absolutely Average put on Twitter, saying, "Take me to court, Trevor. Let's go to court, please. I'll sue the lot of you." It's alleged that Green contacted their daughter's employer in an attempt to get her fired, as well as sending her unwanted messages. Kent and Sussex police had to be involved for her safety. More recently, he was spotted waiting outside her place of work twice. And you can see he keeps saying cease and desist, it's slander, it's libel, it's false allegations. Then he started on Gerty Rood. She did a video, and the transcript is here, basically calling him out, saying that he's a bully and she doesn't like bullying and he needs to grow up and leave people alone. Then the threats begin. He attempted a copyright strike, which gave him access to the email associated with the channel. So he sent one copyright strike first, which was immediately not accepted. And then he did 3 strikes to get her email address. He sent her an email threatening to have her channel taken down and take legal action against her unless she removed all videos and posts mentioning him, gave both a public and private apology, publicly stated the Heskeths had fed her false information and sent her to make videos about him, and never parody or review his work again. She responded to his email from a friend's email address. The email account is in no way related to the Gerty Rood channel. Green was reminded of fair dealings and told the police would be notified, as he was clearly targeting a vulnerable woman in relation to his vendetta with the Heskeths. I remind you again that this email account is not linked to the Gerty Rood channel and is not publicly available. And only Russell knew of any link between Gerty Rood and her friend's email, yet they were both doxxed by Atalanta of Arcadia, the leader of the troll group. Green later admitted to being responsible for this. Gerty is not monetised, despite their many accusations that she was making a profit out of the troubles with Russell and Trevor and the Heskeths. During his live on the 24th of May, after 2 months of constant abuse from Atlanta, Gerty's supposed daughter confronted Green, repeatedly asking in the chat, "Why did you give out my personal information through the Atlanta account? All I did was help with an email," by the one that was responding to his initial threats. And here you can see his response. "You're complicit if you have done that. You are complicit, and there will be a criminal case against everybody involved. Do not be complicit in any illegal activities. We are sick to the back teeth with you. Cease and desist, vicious, venomous, nasty, lying creatures." If you have a chance to watch it and just skip to that bit, he loses it. The persona of being calm and, sort of calculated just goes. He just absolutely loses his temper. So, like we've seen, he makes threats all the time to take legal action. He's threatened Gerty's daughter in that previous slide. And he's threatening Gerty and Fiona and Graham that he's going to take legal action. Despite the claims on his recent live on the 19th of August that he didn't threaten legal action against anyone other than Fiona and Graham, I've shown that he did in fact make several comments stating he was indeed intending to take action against Gerty. So he said there, I now have an address to serve you legal papers and a pre-action cease and desist. And I can confirm he took no legal action against Gerty. The GoFundMe. So Green set up a GoFundMe to gather donations towards his legal action against Trevor Colt, the Heskeths, Duchess of North Sussex, and Gerty Rood for defamation, slander, libel, stalking, harassment, and loss of earnest. And he promised full transparency. And he did this by posting updates on the GoFundMe. So he was saying what he'd paid to the different solicitors and bank accounts, because you can see he did a card payment to Talbot's Law Limited, and then after that he switched to So Legal. He left Talbot because he felt he wasn't important enough to them and they weren't focused enough on him and his case. So he switched to So Legal, who have a premises in Eastbourne, just down the road from where he's supposed to live in Bexhill. Then in May we had another update where he'd accidentally paid for fuel for his motorbike using the GoFundMe, and said that he would transfer that balance from his account to make up the difference. Not that it's a problem in any way, since just over half of the donations are from myself and my family. So he thinks because his family have donated money to it for legal action, it's okay if he takes some for fuel. But already people were worrying and concerned that this was a scam. So he's saying it's not a scam. I haven't received any emails from donors asking me anything. It's just, there are people on the receiving end of the campaign accusing me falsely of, making this as a scam. But if you look, so remember that was May, there are actually people on X asking him, you've raised all this money, what are you actually using it for? Can you put proof up? Because people were concerned. The Duchess of North Sussex called for transparency and was told that she wasn't a donor and therefore not entitled to ask. So she donated £20, which you can see there from the screenshot, and I will put a link to her video in the description. So she donated, she became a donor, and rather than give the transparency that she asked for, Green refunded her so that she would have no right to ask for transparency. Then he received an email, and again you can pause it to read it yourself, but people were asking, we've subscribed to you, can you please stop abusing, stalking, trolling women and girls? We donated to your GoFundMe, we are subscribers, and we are asking for more transparency. Please sort things out. And he started off, all concerned, worrying that people will think he's not been honest and transparent. There were concerns the bank statements had been edited. And he's saying, I'll update the page again. I'm really appreciative to everybody. And I couldn't have got this far without you, all your support. Thank you so much. Please contact me directly with any concerns. I look forward to addressing concerns and putting your mind at ease. And then the next day, he's reported the email to GoFundMe saying it's illegal, it's defamation and slander, and blaming Gerty Rood for the email. Then we had another one. He replaced the fuel money and added more into the account because there's an outstanding bill, and I'm closing this down. Thank you so much. Let the defendants cry. I'll be smiling at their pathetic false claims. And then he updated it that he was closing the GoFundMe. He blocked people from contacting him because one person requested a refund for their donation, and some of the people on his side and actively supporting him at the beginning have chosen to attack him. And despite raising over £3,000 on the GoFundMe, he still owed the solicitors over £1,000. If you have concerns, comments or questions, write to me. So this was what he'd put on X. So with the help of his GoFundMe, Green did succeed at a claimed cost of around £4,500, which is absolutely ridiculous, in sending a letter of claim to the Heskeths. I can't share it here for legal reasons, but I've read it, and I can say, when referring to videos, there were no titles, URLs, timestamps given, and some of the dates are wrong. Many points in the letter are just stating that the Heskeths are friends of Trevor or supported Trevor, or as well there was things where Fiona did videos talking about Atalanta of Arcadia, never mentioned Green, none of it was relevant. Many points in the letter stated that Fiona is referencing our client in relation to really vague evidence, like saying absolutely, or this troll's a creepy old man, some ugly little recluse in a bedroom. And apparently that's evidence that she's harassing Green. There was no evidence given, like screenshots, transcripts, videos, nothing was provided to back up his claims. I don't think the solicitor had even seen the videos where they're saying, oh, in this video you mentioned my client. I don't think they'd even watched it. I don't think they'd read transcripts. It's like they just took his word for it. Like maybe he'd just written it all down and they just took that. It was just really, really unprofessional. And I can't believe he paid that much money for it. And then Green demanded that the Heskeths give public apologies on YouTube and X, like he did with Gerty, state he isn't Atalanta of Arcadia, and cease posting about him. So Fiona responded. She posted a video, again I will put the link in the description if you want to see it, but she posted a video sharing some of the content in her reply to Green's letter of claim, and again I have read it, it is brilliant. Her comeback was just astounding. Green appears to have received subliminal messages because he's adamant that any vague reference to trolls or creeps or old men or anything was about him. Green offered mediation, and obviously Fiona and Graham turned that down because they want nothing to do with him. They don't want to talk to him, they don't want to email him, and the last thing they want to do is meet in a room with him. They were told they hadn't supplied evidence to back up their claims that Green had stalked them and harassed them. But they hadn't had the letter yet, so how are they supposed to send evidence when they didn't know who his solicitor was or anything because they hadn't received anything? I mean, it's just ridiculous. And Fiona was able to provide a deluge of evidence of the stalking and harassment perpetrated by Green, and recommended that his solicitor discuss with him what harassment is and what stalking is and the legal ramifications of his behaviour. And she welcomed a reply, but she never received one. After she sent her reply, meeting each point that was in that letter and basically tearing it apart, she's like, okay, come back at me, provide me with evidence of this, clarify this for me. And they just never responded. So in his live, someone asked, how are you going on with the proceeding with the legal action? And he just goes, oh, it's done, over and done with, a long time ago. He kept saying throughout this video that the trolls had been quiet. But basically because he's not harassing anyone anymore, since he'd had that letter. I don't know what the solicitor said to him. But he hasn't antagonised anybody since. He hasn't been commenting on people's videos or posting. And of course the Atalanta of Arcadia, the original one, was removed from X. So he hasn't had his little safe space with his gang of thugs to harass people. So I think it's more to do with him ceasing and desisting that the trolls have been quiet. But he's telling his viewers and his subscribers that the cease and desist letter was sent out. I'm not going to mention any names. And like I said before, he said, some people say I was going to be sending one to that party and I would be taking that party too. I was never intending to take a certain other party to court, or indeed to send them a cease and desist. I did what I said I was going to do, and it's cost me a lot of money on top of the donations that I received. And it's been dealt with. The trolls have since Foxtrot Osgood, and I hope that answers your question. But I mean, that's his idea of transparency. To put up some bank statements, claim that the solicitors didn't want their letterhead online because it breached their confidentiality. So there was no invoicing. He sent one letter. It wasn't even a cease and desist letter. It was a letter of claim. And he didn't respond. And like we've shown, he very clearly did say that he was going to take action against Gerty Rood, but he's run out of money. Even with his donations that weren't even mainly from his subscribers. He claims more than half the money was either his personal money or money from his family. And yet he's got 4,500 subscribers. And Paz49 and Andy the Gabby Cabby were constantly promoting his GoFundMe on X. Atalanta of Arcadia and Ren were constantly promoting his GoFundMe on X. Some of them mentioned it on their YouTubes. So there really wasn't a lot of support for his GoFundMe. And I think that's more the reason that he didn't take any further action. I don't think he realised how expensive it would be. He wanted to get 15,000 was the goal of the GoFundMe, and he barely scraped together $3,000. But yeah, he's very vague about it and just keeps saying, oh, it's done with, it's done with. the trolls are being quiet now. I did what I was going to do. Thanks for watching, and if you have any requests or information on dodgy dealings behind the scenes, then please email truthcentral247@gmail.com.